Good morning and welcome to the 8:15 daily operations weather brief. This morning we have mostly clear skies with some scattered cloud cover out the window here, and that overall cloud coverage should remain rather low until we do see a slight uptick in overall coverage once our peak daytime heating gets underway and we begin to see some cumulus beginning to build over our area. As for our temperatures today, we've already broken into the 80s, and that leads us to another seasonably warm and unfortunately humid day here on the shore, and that could potentially necessitate a heat advisory, although our projections do kind of have us right on the verge of meeting any advisory criteria, so we'll have to see how things progress throughout the day. Our winds will remain rather light and are expected to actually continue declining throughout the day, and our overall rain chances are low. However, the chance of a pop-up storm, especially in the early afternoon hours, is certainly a possibility, so we'll keep an eye out for any development that starts to get underway. Now, taking a look at our most recent surface analysis chart here, we do have a rather large ridge centered over the central U.S., and that is maintaining these hot and humid conditions for today and those sunny conditions that are expected to persist into tomorrow. And our dew points do remain rather high as a result of this synoptic setup, which leads us to those potential feels-like temperatures exceeding the 100-degree mark today. And while most areas do remain dry, as mentioned before, isolated to scattered storms are certainly possible, especially along a sea breeze front that is anticipated to develop come this afternoon. And with time, those convective chances do look to taper off as we move into the evening hours. Now, looking ahead, that ridge that is centrally located here will slowly move westward, and that will allow for continued hot and humid weather as the high pressure continues to draw those hot and humid conditions off the coastal waters and into our region. And that is until a cold front approaches from the north Wednesday and brings a more southerly wind to our area, which should work to even further push up the moisture content in the area and likely pump up our heat indice values. But overall, generally a fair weather pattern with no defined weather maker moving through over today and tomorrow. And taking a look at our current weather here this morning, we do have a scattered layer at 4,500 feet, and we have unrestricted visibility out there with our winds coming out of the north-northwest at about 4 knots and a temperature of 80 degrees and a relative humidity value at 87%. Now, moving on to this morning's satellite imagery, we can see that there is some ongoing convection offshore, especially down off the coast of the Carolinas, and that's going to continue to stay down that way and, if anything, continue drifting further offshore. However, in our area, we can see that light to scattered cloud cover, and it's continuing to just kind of drift through, and if anything, leading to a clearing effect. So hopefully we will see even more so clear skies come a little later in the morning before we see that afternoon cloud coverage start to build in. Now, this is the most recent model run of the day with the NAM on a 24-hour loop, and this 3-kilometer high-resolution model here depicts a largely clear day with, right there, some afternoon convection developing over our area. And then as time progresses and we move into those overnight hours, or as the sun begins to set, we see those chances diminish with time. And that leads us to the 24-hour risk chart and forecast here. As mentioned before, scattered cloud coverage anticipated for a majority of the day, but largely sunny conditions. Our temperatures get up to the upper 80s and maybe even break into the 90s, and our winds remain rather light and continue to decrease throughout the day, turning variable in the evening and overnight hours. We do have a little bit of color on the board indicating the chances for those afternoon and early evening convective probabilities, as well as some color on the board for the chance of a heat advisory come this afternoon. Now, moving on to the short-term, weather risk chart here. We do have, again, a little bit of color. On Tuesday, we can anticipate mostly sunny conditions with a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, and again, cloud coverage building in the afternoon during peak heating as there's a surplus of moisture leading to some cloud development, and a high of 89 for Tuesday. Tuesday night, we can anticipate mostly clear conditions and a low of 77. And Wednesday, similar to Tuesday, we can anticipate mostly sunny conditions, a little bit of cloud coverage building midday, and a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, and a high of 89. Overall, pretty low chances for any inclement weather. Those rain chances do occur generally in the afternoon hours and taper off in the evening, similar to what we will see today, but winds look to remain light and the chances of low ceilings didn't look incredibly high, so not too much to make note of over the next day or two. And that will conclude the 8:15 weather brief, and I will be back at 10 o'clock with the 7-day outlook.